Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to the two of you is early on when we started Learn, trying to create an environment that was kind of cyclical and that get to a point where we have alumni that graduate, they're then eventually like answering questions in Slack, right? And that keeps going, right? Alumni are then answering the questions that, when we first started was mostly Rob and Matt, like trying to field all the questions. And then eventually got to the point where I remember the first time we had an alumni come back and like answer a question was like, we did it. It's working. But what then grew from that is that we then had have students come back and become internship partners, right? That they are then mentoring like the next step, which at Gap Intelligence may be taking on interns at some point in the future. But then I love hearing the stories where, you guys are now like hiring each other and being a part of that story. Can you tell me a little bit? You don't have to tell me all the dirty secrets or anything of you going and finding Emma.
Well, I remember leaving our class and thinking, I hope I get to work with some of these people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great. And you learn to communicate in a way that people that don't go through boot camp don't really learn, because we paired all day. So we were forced to be able to explain exactly what we were thinking and what we were doing, and it had to be verbal and it had to be out loud. And so being able to work with someone that knows how to do that with you is great. But Emma in particular, the minute I found out we were hiring, I was like, I'm going to get her.
You did it.
I knew that she loved Zeal, but I thought she's been there long enough. Adam can't be too mad at me at this point for taking her away. And so I asked her to come to lunch with me, and I just told her everything. Like, I mean, which is not something you usually get about a job. Like, I literally told her everything, and she had the opportunity to ask me all these questions because I knew it was going to be a big step if she decided to take it. It's hard to leave somewhere you're happy, and doing well. Right. So one of the things that I appreciated about Emma back then and now, I mean, it's even better, is the way we work through things together. She's very good at verbalizing and explaining where she is and, with a problem. And it's been so nice working with you again already. So it worked well for me.
Yeah, I was very happy to have some insight, like going into the interview, and like feel like I had a good sense. And really, Jenny being able to communicate like the goods and the bads of working for this company for so long at this point, made me it made me feel better. Having like really an honest opinion, and also like knowing something, like going in. So like when I actually did interview, a lot of the things were somewhat familiar to me, and really I just was so excited to like be working with a friend. And also I'd been a remote for 3 years, so I was getting kind of lonely working in my house with my dog all the time. So it was time for a change, and so this has been a really great opportunity for me to be coming in. And it's a very different style of coding because a lot of what we're working on is acquiring data, and then manipulating that data. Large data sets is something that's really interesting. It's actually not something I've worked a lot with. We do some crawling of sites to get information off of websites, and that ends up being like completely different from any sort of like Rails application I've ever worked on. So it's been really interesting so far, and already I'm a month in and I've learned a ton.
That's awesome. I think that's so, one, it's really fortunate to have that experience going into an interview. And I think is more common these days that you can, we talk to our students about, if you know somebody at the company, to reach out to them. And this is kind of one of the things that can happen from that is that you can get the inside scoop. You can learn more about whether it is a really good fit for you or not.
Absolutely.
And I think, you're fortunate to have that.
Yeah, I whenever I went to speak to as an alumni to one of the current cohorts, I always told them, make friends, make connections, you will hire each other. And I finally got to do that. I was like so excited. But it's true. I mean, other people in our cohort have worked together.
Yeah. Well, and actually, you even also worked with a Learn alumni at your last job.
I worked with Tommy.
Yeah, he wasn't from our cohort.
He was the second one. He was the one right before us.
Great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I had in my head that you guys were in the same cohort, but Tommy was right before you.
I thought he was after us, actually.
He was right before us.
Yeah, he was in the second class.
Yeah. So I need to check, see how he's doing these days. But yeah, that was great actually to work with Tommy too.
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the benefits of going to a boot camp, whether it's Learn or another boot camp, is that you are coming into this community, and the more involved you can get, not just with your own cohort, but with the other alumni there, that they all know what you went through.
Absolutely.
And can, empathize with that. And I think you can use those resources, and you should use those resources.